Well, slight miscalculation on the gas tank. Turns out to make the bottom of the tank parallel and level with the bottom of the frame, my measurements were a little bit off, and the top of the tank was hitting the bottom of the bed. I don't know, I guess I just rushed it and I didn't get good measurements, so I cut not even half an inch off the top. I'll square it up. I can only go as low as the bungs that I already welded in. I don't really want to cut those out and lower them, and I can't lower them too much anyway because the top of the frame is here, and you know, if I lower these, then the frame is going to be in the way, and then I can't make the connections like I planned. I don't really want to raise the body more than the factory body mounts, because then that'll throw off the core support and the whole angle of the level of the body. So even though I had it all welded and I was pretty happy with how it was coming out, I had a little bit of cleanup left, but I did spend hours and hours filling any imperfections, and I mean, it's still not perfect, but it's way better than it was. So the only solution I can come up with is cut as much as I can off the top here. I'll have to cut this piece out and then lower that down, and then I'll have to get a new piece for the top and weld that in. So a little bit of a setback, but that's the best solution I could come up with. I thought of everything. I don't want the bottom of the tank lower than the frame. I keep coming back to that, and that would have been the easiest solution, but I don't know, I don't want it hanging down. Something coming along on the road, and as it is, I think I'm going to put like some kind of skid plate underneath it. You know, aluminum tanks are great and they're strong and everything, but they're not made to be at the bottom of a vehicle, exposed to elements and debris and rocks and junk that's on the highway that gets thrown up. So I mean, it's 1/8 inch thick, but it's sturdy, but it's not impossible to damage it or put a hole in it. So that's where I'm at. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Little update on the progress on the chassis. We're looking pretty good. Got the gas tank mounted, and that seems to be fitting pretty nice. Had some issues with the height. I had to chop off the top by 1/2 inch so I could clear the bed. Working on the brake lines now. Starting to put tabs on, just tacking them on. Brake lines will come up and fit in there, and then have a clip and the lines connected to it. I got a lot of the clamps in place. These are pretty neat. They snap on. They snap real tight, so I'm not worried about it, and that way there you can move things around. And I mean, I've used the other kind of clamps where you screw them down, the billet ones, and they're nice and all, but I think these are pretty secure, and it makes installation a lot easier, especially since it'll all have to be torn down and reassembled again. I kind of roughly mounted the ABS module. It's really hard finding a spot for that. I'm going to redo this line right here. That's kind of nasty looking. Doesn't need to be that far out. I got the front lines, brackets just welded on temporarily. I'm going to double check all the clearances now. Make sure the tires don't rub, and that when you steer and turn and the suspension goes through full travel, the cable doesn't hit anything or get caught on anything. Exhaust system's welded up, but I have to finish smoothing everything. I got some links for the rear suspension. They're all adjustable. and they're all adjustable on the car. Just, you know, being that I fabricated all this from scratch, I'm sure it's not perfect, so I'll need to move things around, and that'll make it a lot easier to align everything. I mounted the sway bar. I got new links for that. The sway bar mount for the front is built into the cradle, but I want to mount that. I got new links for the front sway bar. So I got the fuel line clamps in place. I got the adapter to go to AN. I'm going to run a whip from the tank pump out to the frame, and then hardline all the way along the frame. That way there, if I ever have to drop the tank, I can just undo the whip right out here, and then you don't have to try to get up underneath to disconnect anything. So, I mean, I don't want to plan for failure, but it's just the reality of, you know, fuel pump goes bad or whatever, and you need to drop the tank. These fittings can unscrew here and here so that the tank can drop straight down, because if they were, you know, permanent out to here, you couldn't never get the tank out. So, but I'm pretty happy how the tank came out. I got a piece of 3/16 aluminum here, and I was thinking of making kind of like a skid plate to go underneath the tank. I mean, the tank is 1/8 inch, but it doesn't hang down, and it's flush. But you know, you hit a rock, you hit somebody's debris in the road, and it kicks up and slashes a hole in your gas tank. It's gonna make for a bad day. So at least if I have another layer of protection, sacrificial piece that, you know, will protect the tank, I think it's worth it. So just trying to get everything that needs to be welded or mounted on the frame done, and then I can tear it all down, finish cleaning everything up, and I'd like to, I don't know, maybe paint, powder coat, and get the chassis, kind of everything routed, figured out. I probably still need to mount all the front end radiator and all that to make sure that, I mean, I've done it before, it all was mocked up, but I want to mount the bumper, I want to mount the front grille and the fenders, and then put the bumper on, because, you know, all this is made from scratch, and I want to make sure the bumper bolts on properly and is centered and level, because if I have to mess around with this and recut or refabricate something on the frame, that's why these pieces aren't done yet. I will have that open on purpose in case I need to redo something. And then once I know that's good, I'll box that all in. So just a little at a time takes a lot of time. I gotta, you know, refigure this all out. This is just set in there. I'm gonna redo that whole thing, I think, and pretty it up a little bit. It's not even straight, so that needs some work. So I want to get all the fabrication done on the frame, chassis, so like it's almost ready to roll, and then when that's done, then do all the body work, and then I'm not worried about the chassis. So it's come along pretty good. I got most of the brake lines and fuel lines mocked up. I just kind of run this is a return line that I'm just going to put in and dead end, so in case I need it in the future. But I got them all routed. I got most of the clamps fitted, and the rears and the one front is run up to the ABS line, ABS module, which I don't like where this is at all. It just doesn't look good, and it's messy, and the tire with a full compression, full turn comes like right here. So I think I'm gonna move it way out here. I just don't know. Hopefully the wire connector can reach it. So I had a temporary piece of angle iron across here to hold these frame rails, but to put the radiator in, it goes all the way down. It was hitting, so I just took that out, and these brackets were pretty beat up, and I got them just kind of straightened out because I want to mount the core support and the bumper and the radiator and the power, the transmission cooler and the condenser and the intercooler for the radiator for the supercharger. All that stack goes here, and like it's already going to be past the radiator support. And if I can get the radiator to go back, like this is the original mounting for the radiator, if I can get it mounted there or pretty close, then everything should connect right back up. All this crap, hoses and everything, that would be kind of nice. And then I've got, see if I can get the AC fittings, all the AC lines. The only thing is this splash pan here, a new splash pan, but basically this whole area is going to have to be cut out and fitted, make sure everything fits, because there's quite a bit of a stack of cooling equipment. So, but I want to make sure that, because I need to put it, I really kind of think I need a cross member of some kind, and this all started because I'm like, well, if I need to run the brake line across, where's it going to get attached? Because if you ever do need to drop the engine, this cradle would still unbolt, but if you've got a brake line running across underneath it or something, and then without the cradle, you kind of lose structural integrity because there's not really another cross member till way back on the middle of the frame. So I really think, even though this brace is bolted and everything and it's real strong, I think you still should have something across the front. So I'm still trying to figure that out, but I can't do that until I get the radiator stack figured out, and then I'll dictate where I can maybe put a cross member. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. So to make the core support fit around the Mustang radiator and all the coolant stack that's got to be here, you can see the body mounts right here, and by the time you get all the components in here, pretty much none of this is going to fit. So this lower has to come out down here, and then this standoff has got to be cut off on both sides. So I'm just going to cut that out right now. Just a little recap where I'm at. So I had already mocked all this up with the radiator and the AC condenser and the heat exchanger, and I think I mentioned previously here in the video that I forgot about the sway bar. So now the sway bar is in there. The radiator is mounted on the factory location on the subframe with the proper bushings. So then that pushes it way forward. But then I'm thinking, well, that's actually good because now all the hoses will fit, clearances are good, and everything's going to go back the way it was stock. But the issue I had there was, well, now it pushes everything forward, so I didn't have room for the AC condenser. So I got an aftermarket one that has a remote mounted receiver dryer, and then that'll help give me a little bit. And then I thought I'd have room for the heat exchanger, but I put the grill on and it's hitting pretty hard. I mean, it's got to go back a couple inches to clear the grill. I mean, it's hitting 100%. So I relocated the transmission cooler made up some brackets, mounted it to the frame. So I think that came out pretty good. Doesn't hang down below the frame. There's clearance above it, not a lot, but enough for the air to get out. Plus that torque box here is all rotted. That's all coming out, so it'll be a lot more open. So that got rid of the cooler from the front of the radiator, but I guess that wasn't enough. So still trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I guess I could get 2 small radiators and mount them over on the sides, one on each side. I mean, it's a lot of plumbing, a lot more expense. So and I already bought a replacement heat exchanger because the original one had gotten wrecked in from the donor car. So I'm not sure what else I can do. Plus the fact that the hose connections are all buried in there, and it's hard to see, but yeah. So I mean, there's not really any good way. I just have it temporarily made some quick brackets so I could at least mount it up. So I'm not sure, but that's okay. This is something, another problem that needs a solution. I'll figure something out. Mounted the fender and radiator support again. Just trying to verify mounting position for the radiator support, because the whole idea is to finish up this frame, and I can't do that until I know that everything's going to sit properly. And I'm trying to see if the fenders are lined up properly, because I don't want to have to like add a bunch of shims or something later when I go to finish the body work, if there's an issue with the frame. I think the frame is good, but the body panels are so messed up that it doesn't even matter at this point. So I just threw the, I put both doors on and took the other one off already, but put this one on just to make sure like the body line is close. And this is a complete mess, but the fender can be adjusted some more. I wanted to make sure the cowl isn't racked and the front of the truck is square and close enough. I mean, I can trim, and the sheet metal on the doors and fenders are all going to get all cut up anyway, so I'm not really worried about it. I just want to make sure that the height of the front fender is going to be pretty close to what I need it to be, so it's not too high or too low in the front in reference to the frame, because I want to finish up all this frame work. But since it's all been built from scratch, there's errors probably somewhere here or there, and I want to make sure it's not so awful that I can't overcome it. But I'm actually pretty pleased. I mean, I think there's something with this cowl piece. It's like seems real high, and I took all kinds of measurements, and it doesn't match the other side. But again, this is all going to get rebuilt anyway, so I'm not too concerned. But I mean, it's not great, but I mean, actually I'm pretty happy with how the line is kind of good, so I can work with that. It's not like it's so messed up that you can't adjust it or redo I mean, I can cut away the edges and redo the edges. I mean, the bottoms of these are rotted anyway, so I'm not worried about that. I mean, it's not on the hinges or anything. I just threw it up there. But I want to make sure like this is pretty good, and it's not like crooked or racked or anything. I mean, it's okay, but like this lines up pretty decent here, but then you can see there's a huge step right here, so that's going to need some work. And then it's kind of tight here. The other side looks pretty good though, so that's where it's at. Again, trying to focus on the frame and chassis. I think I'm good with the radiator mount now that I've removed the heat exchanger and the transmission cooler. They're remote mounted on the frame, so now I've got room for my latch, and I'm gonna have to redo all this for the hoses, but that's not too bad. I got a little clearance issue here, but again, once I trim that frame and rebox everything, there's a drain down there that is real into the frame pretty bad, but again, I'll box around that so there's no issues there. And I got to clean all this up. I might even cut it over here and just square that off, so you have plenty of room for the radiator. I don't want anything hitting or banging around. I got to build some mounts up here anyway. So I got this to fit pretty good. That's gonna hit here, but I could probably trim a good 3/8 of an inch off there, and then it might still not be enough, so I have to do a little bit of work with this. But I mean, with that heat exchanger and everything stacked up here, it was not going to work. Plus now everything's back to stock location. I'm not hitting the sway bar. I got room for all my hoses. Coolant tank goes here. I mean, yeah, it cost me over $1,000 for the 2 radiators for the heat exchanger and the transmission cooler, but it gets them out of the way. It declutters a lot of this now. Now I just need to have hoses run out back for those cooling fan units. And again, I need to figure out where I need to do some kind of cross member, or where I can run it's all started with, where do I run the brake line across the front? Because I want to be able to drop that cradle without having to take all the brake lines apart. So it really needs to go up here somewhere and then come around. So, and I want to mount the bumper, make sure that's going to fit properly, if these brackets need to be redone or whatever, and make sure that fits okay. So I think I'll do that next. So I got the bumper mocked up, the splash pan, and I mean, it's just awful as far as the curvature. I guess, I don't know, is the bumper messed up? Is that doesn't even come close to matching? Maybe it's the wrong bumper, but it was what I was supposed to, it was the correct year when I ordered it. I mean, it's got to move over a little bit, but the main thing is the splash pan's in there, kind of roughed in. It's bolted to the core support here. So yeah, we're back to this. I mean, I can move the condenser coil in if I take that and redo this bracket just a little bit, and then put the, if there's enough, I think I take the cardboard off, I could probably take the condenser and push it all the way in and put it under this bracket. That might give me like another 1/4 of an inch. Still not a lot, but it might be all I need. And then if I could just solidify this where the radiator and stuff is going to go, then I can just take all this back off, and I don't even need to worry about any of this stuff. So when I'm really doing body work and all that, it fits. There's the brackets were kind of bent anyway, so I probably need to redo those, and but all this stuff can get regapped and straightened out when I actually do the body work. But I just want to make sure the radiator support was the right height, it's level, square, fenders bolt up to it, because that's going to determine where the radiator goes and how that mounts. So I think that's a success. Just got to figure out, a little more clearance here, but we should be good to go on that.